I never thought I would do this. Share my story that brings me a mix of shame, sadness, and above all, a feeling of betrayal that I will never overcome. My name is Michael. I'm 32 years old, and I've always been a man of principles. I met Jessica just over 2 years ago. At first, it felt like I was living a dream, a fairy tale. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, and from the first moment, I felt a connection between us. She was fun, intelligent, and her beauty was simply impossible to ignore. It didn't take long for us to start dating. During those 2 years together, I felt like I was living the best days of my life. Our relationship had everything I dreamed of: long and honest conversations, late nights watching movies and shows, trips, and countless adventures together. We were a united couple with big plans for the future. When I proposed to her, I was convinced that she was the woman I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. After the wedding, we decided to move into the house I had inherited from my parents, in a quiet neighborhood that I loved. I remodeled the entire house to make sure she would feel comfortable and have everything she needed. I spent every penny I had to ensure we started our life in the best way possible. The first few months were amazing. We were still in that honeymoon phase, and everything seemed perfect. But just 6 months after our wedding, things began to change in ways I couldn't understand. Jessica started distancing herself from me, avoiding any kind of intimacy. At first, I thought maybe she was going through a tough time, so I tried to be understanding and gave her the space she seemed to need. But the situation only got worse. She began making excuses that, no matter how hard I tried to understand, left me more and more frustrated. First, it was headaches, then work exhaustion, anxiety, and even excuses about the bedroom being too cold or too hot. When I tried to talk to her about what was happening, she avoided the subject, claiming it was all in my head and that I was becoming paranoid. Night after night, I would ask myself where the Jessica I had fallen in love with had gone, the woman who had shared her dreams with me. Nothing made sense. Sometimes, I even thought the problem might be with me. Maybe I was doing something wrong, or maybe I wasn't a good enough husband. I started trying harder to please her, cooking special dinners, taking her out on outings, but even so, the situation remained cold. Jessica seemed distant, as if I were just her friend and not the man she had married. Then came the accident. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was at work when I got a call from Jessica, her voice tense and panicked, telling me she had fallen in the bathroom and broken her leg. She was taken to the hospital, and I rushed there to meet her. I made it a point to be there for every detail of her treatment, taking her to and from the hospital, attending her appointments with the orthopedist, doing everything I could to support her. I even took time off work to be with her because with her leg immobilized, she needed me more than ever. After a few days, I returned to work but organized my schedule to be home as much as possible. One Friday, I decided to surprise her. I left work early, stopped by a flower shop, and bought her a bouquet of flowers. I wanted to show her that despite the recent challenges, I was still there for her. When I arrived home, something felt off. Despite the heat, all the windows were closed. As I entered, the first thing I noticed was a pair of sneakers in the hallway, shoes that didn't belong to me or Jessica. I opened the bedroom door, and my world collapsed. There she was, Jessica, in our bed with the neighbor's son. She was balancing herself on top of him, even with her cast. The shock was so overwhelming that, for a few seconds, I couldn't react. I just stood there, holding the flowers, staring at them. They looked at me, terrified. Jessica's expression was one of panic, but it seemed more like she was worried about being caught than remorseful for her actions. I don't even remember what I said in that moment. I think I dropped the bouquet on the floor and walked out of the house, wandering aimlessly through the streets. My chest felt like it was being crushed by a pain I had never experienced before. As I tried to process what I had seen, all the times Jessica avoided me, the excuses, the distance, it all suddenly made sense. The sense of betrayal was so overwhelming that it took me hours to think clearly. Later that night, I returned home to confront Jessica. She tried to shift all the blame onto me, coming up with excuse after excuse. Every attempt at dialogue felt useless. Jessica tried to justify the unjustifiable, saying she felt trapped and insecure after our marriage, as if that explained her choice to betray me in the most cowardly way possible. I made her leave the house. She went to stay with a friend. My heart was shattered, and the sadness only grew. The image of her with that man haunted me constantly. These past few months have been incredibly difficult. The pain of betrayal is still very raw. All the love I felt for Jessica has turned into a mix of bitterness and sorrow. Every good memory we shared has been tainted by what she did to me. No matter how hard I try, it's hard to let go of these feelings. The sense of being deceived and betrayed is a relentless torment. I'm not sharing my story today for anyone to feel sorry for me, but as a warning, love, as beautiful as it may be, must be accompanied by respect and loyalty. When that is missing, all that remains are bitter memories of a dream turned nightmare. If you have a similar story, feel free to share it in the comments if you'd like me to share it. Thanks for watching until the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.